much. This idea came from a collaboration between Susan and Krystal. Susan was looking at something that could really help Lily grow as a dancer. Lily wanted to be able to go to dance auditions and feel like she really knew the vocabulary and really had the basics of dance. And so Susan thought, what about, Krystal obviously is amazing, and would that be a great fit? So, what was really great is that for us, seeing Krystal as a choreographer, to see her as a teacher is absolutely amazing, because we are always like, Krystal, do that, choreograph this, but she hasn't always, when we're doing shows, she doesn't always have the time to actually teach the basics. So seeing her as a teacher is just mind-blowing, and so, we're hoping that Krystal's going to continue to teach after, rehearsals, hopefully in the coming year, after seeing how successful this was. So we haven't really figured anything out yet, but so thank you, Susan, for coming up with the idea. And all of the
First of all, I just want to thank all of you for sharing your children with me, and I normally have them in a different setting. So for me to have them in a setting where I could really just take the time to instill basic dance concept up under them, and to really push them from a dance vocabulary as opposed to a musical theater vocabulary, which can be quite different. And they both have their own niche and place in the artistic forum. But for me, this is where my grounding is. This is what I love to do. And I was just speaking with a parent. I was saying, being born and raised in the Bronx, my one challenge was, as a growing dancer in the Bronx, that there weren't any good schools in the Bronx. That in order for me to get a technical technique class, I had to go into Manhattan and to go to school in Riverdale. Or, like some of the students that are here, I was blessed to be able to go to LaGuardia High School of Performing Arts, which wasn't named that way back then. But to have my first bearings in dance there, and then morph that into the Juilliard School, and then embark on a professional career. But being born and raised child of the Bronx, I was like, why do I have to go to Manhattan to have this type of training? Why isn't there a school like that in the Bronx? And so the whole time that I've always taught, that's kind of been my thing that really pushed me forward. And during that time, I went and directed 2 schools. One that was here in the Bronx, Mind Builders Creative Arts Center. I came in as their director of their dance program, and was able to kind of make them progressively more of a school that's more competitive in terms of dancers that they were sending out into schools like LaGuardia and going into Juilliard and so forth. And then from there, going to the Harlem School of the Arts and really doing the same thing in their program. And within a 5-year period of going into Harlem School of the Arts, I was able to send 50 students into schools like LaGuardia, Juilliard, Boston Conservatory, North Carolina School of the Arts, the Ailey School, the PPAS School, that program. So it's really been about me empowering students through dance. And because it became my career, I understand how it transformed my life. And I would have been a totally different person. And I think I would have been successful at whatever that was. I wanted to be a dentist because I really wanted to drill in people's mouths. And then once I started dancing, that really became, that became my life. And I've been blessed enough to be able to go from being a professional performer and working in places such as Ailey, Lincoln Center Institute, teaching at City College. And I'm now at the first performing arts high school in the nation, which is Arts High. It's in Newark, New Jersey, and LaGuardia is actually number 2. Wow. LaGuardia was modeled after Arts High, which is the school that I'm teaching at currently now. So I was brought in there 3 years ago to again do the same thing, to up the ante of the dancers that were being produced in Newark, because they felt like LaGuardia had taken their shine. And it's true. Most people think that LaGuardia is the first performing arts high school in the nation, but it's not. So anyway, that's currently where I'm at now. And about 2 years ago, people said, Krystal, how come you don't have your own school? And I was like, kind of always shied away from that. And then out of that incubator became, maybe you need to start doing this in the Bronx. And then at that point, Susan goes, and I go, hey, maybe this is the incubator of it moving into me opening up the school. And the plans are, and the hopes were in a basic discussion is that with RCT being maybe a satellite program out of that school, you know, and for me to kind of work out of here until we get the numbers in order when I have to move out. So this is a showing. And my showing, you're just going to see what we've been working on for the last 3 weeks. And I have to say, I've been quite excited, and my days start at, today, I mean now in the summer it's a late day, my days start at 6 o'clock in the morning, in which I've been pushing myself to go to the gym before I went to work and spend the day with people. So by the time I get to this group here, I've been all day running. I've been through the camp, I've been to the gym, you know, and now I spend 2.5 hours. So most times we kind of go a little bit past that. We go past that because we become so involved in what we're doing. But it was to give them the foundations of dance in 4 different spectrums, to give them the basics of ballet class so that whatever school that they go to, that they're able to, number one, comprehend what's going on, they know the language. So I sent them home on the second day with 3 pages of vocabulary that they had to learn, because sometimes when you go into a school, the teacher will talk the class. Two demi-pliés, a grand plié, quarter bar forward, quarter bar back, cambre, into the side, first, second, fifth, and the other side. So if you go into that type of setting, you're going to say, huh? I don't know what you're talking about. So they had to learn the vocabulary, and then the first week we just worked on the technical placement of all of these things. Now, of course, we have 6 different bodies in here, which have 6 different understandings and knowledge about dance. And I have to say, not as a put down to any of them, but at a beginner level, at a basic level. And so I had to deal with giving them enough information that would challenge them but wouldn't overwhelm them, that would push them to really work at things and to trust that you may not have it today, but we're going to keep working on it. And to not pit themselves against each other and to think that they must look like me by the time they walk out of here in 3 weeks. So we spent 4 days a week here for 2.5, 2 3/4 of an hour. And this is what we're going to come up with. So with it being a showing, it's not about them being perfect, because you're going to hear me talk to them as if they're in a dance class, as if I was teaching them. So you're going to see me talking, you're going to hear me telling them notes that I want them to work on to correct placement, so that their bodies are in the correct position, that whatever I'm telling them to do, that they're going to take those adjustments and you're going to see them physically make the changes if they haven't done it already, which is the way that you should do in a dance class. One of the other things that I taught them is that you have to act like a note has your name on it, even if I don't address you specifically. So if I say, Jen, make sure you're in your first position, that everybody should be checking to see if they're in first position. A teacher just passes concepts on, but we teach ourselves. So it's for them to take the concept and then do their mental checklist. Am I doing this? Am I doing this? Am I doing this? Am I doing this? And to make the correction. And so you'll always hear me constantly talking to them to make sure that I get these adjustments. So we're going to start with a ballet bar, ballet being the first technique, dance technique that was formalized. Okay? Started in the 1600s, was danced primarily by men. Only